in today's day and age where you can just learn everything online, and with my experience of actually being able to learn it online better than I did attending a formal university, college does not have my personal recommendation. What's up, guys? So I'm actually really excited this morning because I found a really cool location that I think I might be able to use for a future film project. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This sort of side road right here, and I saw these train tracks and I said, that's pretty cool. We like train tracks. And I was like, well, wait a second, where do these train tracks go? And then I said, well, wait a second again, there's a tree in the train tracks. This is like a really cool spot, and it kind of just keeps going. But wow, this is actually really cool. Like the train tracks split up ahead. Like this is so cool. This is like a Tarkovsky film. Like we gotta shoot out here. The question is when? When am I gonna shoot out here? And what is it gonna be? I vaguely know it's in like this direction over here, but I have no idea what's over here. So I say we go left. I say we go left. We just see where this takes us. This is a good old-fashioned mic check, just to make sure this new microphone works. I really hope it does, because it's really cool. All right, let's play that back. Before we get started with the topic of today's video, if you're one of the many new people who have just subscribed to this channel, honestly, welcome. It's been so good, and it's super crazy to actually like be connecting with people on the internet. I know that's like weird to say in 2021 because it's like, yeah, dude, get with the program. Like we've been connecting with people on the internet for years and years now. But for me, like starting this YouTube channel not too long ago, like it's honestly just been a really rewarding experience. And thank you. That's all I got to say. Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit juicy. It's about why I dropped out of film school. And I'm going to give you that whole story. I know it's not as relevant now that it's like middle of July, so we're like halfway through summer. So I was actually going into my third year at university, and I decided to quit for a bunch of different reasons. But I would say the biggest reason is that a media degree is next to useless. You don't really need a media degree to get a media-related job. And I knew that going into college. That's actually not why I went to college. It was actually to run track. Track has always been a really big part of my life. I love to run. I still do try to run occasionally, but I'll be honest, I've kind of fallen off the wagon there with that. But I went to college to run track. I've always been really gifted at running, and so it seemed like a really good opportunity when I was offered a scholarship to run there. I thought I might as well get a degree. And so, you know, things were really great. Like, honestly, I'm so thankful that I had a really great college experience. But in a lot of ways, it was kind of a waste of time. Like, the college experience really boils down to living with people, living with your friends, and just kind of having a good time. And you can do that, like, no matter what. Like, you can go out with your friends, enjoy yourselves, go get some roommates or whatever. You don't necessarily need to go to college and spend tons and tons of money on that experience. But despite all that, I'm so glad that I went, and I had a lot of really cool opportunities from going to college. A couple of them, I got to run at indoor nationals, at our indoor national track meet, which was in Birmingham, Alabama. My whole team, or not my whole team, but me and some of the other people who had qualified for nationals got to fly out to Birmingham, Alabama. And to be honest, I wasn't like crazy excited for the trip because I knew I was going to be gone for a long time. I was already stressed out with my workload. But honestly, the experience was really cool. Like, I had a hotel room to myself for like 5 days. I got to run at like such a high level, such a competitive level. I was a part of my university's improv troupe, and I got to do like probably 7 or 8 different improv shows in front of my school and my classmates, and really cool experience, like being able to perform. And there's really nothing like improv, like coming up with stuff on the spot in front of people. Like, it's very nerve-wracking, but like that's why it's so rewarding and that's why it's so fun. But I'm gonna bring it back to something that I said earlier, and it's that you really don't need a media degree to start a career in media. I've been making short films and stuff since I was in middle school. And so I've been developing the skills over time to make quality video. This is something I've been so passionate about as I've been growing up that I've taken it upon myself to learn it. The university that I attended specifically was a Christian liberal arts university, which basically just means you take a lot of classes that you wouldn't take at other universities. And I've always been a pretty okay student, and so I was taking these classes. Most of them I wasn't crazy excited about, but I was taking these classes anyway, and just really kind of going through the motions. And I was really looking forward to getting into my major classes, getting into my media classes. And I was like, if only, I'm able to put in this work to get to there. Like, I was so excited to get into my media classes, and I was so convinced that I was actually going to learn something and grow, that it was worth all the work that I was putting in with all my other classes. The problem is I ended up taking my media classes, and I ended up being very sorely disappointed. I was in the highest level media class that my school offered, and I didn't learn a single thing. If you've grown up on YouTube watching filmmaking videos and following filmmaking channels and photography channels, chances are you're probably pretty set to start just making content and making films and going into the media. Like, going to college, they end up reiterating a lot of the same things, and in a lot of cases, like, you probably know a lot more if you learn things online. And that was the case for me. It's a little bright. How about we find another place? Because I did not bring an ND filter this morning. My ND filter was in my other bag. And so, yeah, we are at F22 right now. We are stopped all the way down, and I'm still gonna have to bring down my exposure in post, but that's okay. Doesn't really help that we're shooting in Vlog, and Vlog requires you to shoot at ISO 400 as a minimum, which is fine, but be a lot more fine if I had an ND filter. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not gonna turn back to go get it. I'm just gonna say it. Shallow depth of field, a little overrated, just a little bit. Looks nice. Not necessary. This spot seems to be a whole lot nicer. We're in the shade, I'm not squinting. This is good, this is nice. If you were to guess how many times I used my university's equipment to shoot video projects, what number would you throw out there? What number would you think that would be? Well, you probably wouldn't expect the answer to be 0. One of the major advantages to going to film school is that you get access to equipment and resources that you otherwise wouldn't have. But for me, I already had a Panasonic GH5, and actually, when I started last semester, I also had a pocket cinema camera. Like, I had really good equipment to shoot these videos. You are paying tuition, partly if you're a media major, to cover the costs of the equipment that you're using. And so if you're not even really using the equipments that they're offering, like, why even really bother going? It's worth mentioning that this is very much a modern problem. Like, if you wanted to study media like 10, 15, 20 years ago, you absolutely would have needed to go to university to even get your hands, or to even be able to touch a lot of this equipment. But in today's day and age, cameras are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And if you save up for a decent camera like I have, there's really no major advantage to going to school. I want to talk really quickly about the other main reason that people give for going and studying media at university. And that other reason, we talked about the gear and having access to resources, but the second thing was you go to build connections with your professors and connections with your peers. I can see that being very useful, right? Especially in this field where networking is so important and degrees really don't matter as much. If anything, you need to be building connections more than working towards degrees. But I didn't really find that to be particularly true in my experience. I found that a lot of my peers really waited till college to really learn anything about media at all. For me, being so far ahead of everyone else, it really wasn't like a fair trade-off. Like, when we would help each other with projects, it was really just me kind of in charge of all of them, and it didn't really end up being like super beneficial to me. Another thing to think about is you have no control over who your professors are. When you're learning filmmaking and video making online, like I largely have, you get to pick and choose what channels you listen to. Right? Like, everyone is an expert at something, and you get to pick and choose what you want to learn from who you want to learn it from. The school that you go to is also really important. The school that I went to just did not have the best media program, and so definitely, look at different schools and shop around a little bit before you decide to go to film school. If that is something that you're considering, make sure the school that you're going to has a good media program and is one that you actually want to take. I didn't end up really going into college for the best of reasons. I went primarily to run track, which isn't a bad reason. I went to run track and I thought I might as well get a degree, and it didn't really matter to me which school I was going into. It mattered more to me that they had a good track program and that I was going to get to have that experience and have it not cost me very much. And so that's primarily why I went. But as I started, putting in the work day in and day out, going to my classes and going to practice and, getting really overwhelmed, it became harder and harder to see the value in what I was doing. As I started taking my media classes, I was actually hoping to learn something from them. Um, because I wasn't getting as much value out of track. I wasn't as passionate about it. I had other things that I was more passionate about, like making videos, for example, and track was something that was kind of taking from that. And so, but at least my classes were good, right? Well, it turns out I put in all this work to even get to the point where I'm able to take these media classes, and they didn't really end up teaching me really anything. And so it just became very, very difficult for me to motivate myself after that. But make sure that the school that you go to is known for media if that is what you're wanting to focus on, but also realize that going to school is not the only option. And I think that's the main point that I'm trying to make with this video. It's not the only option, and there's a really good argument to be made for it not even really being the best option. Today's day and age where you can just learn everything online, and with my experience of actually being able to learn it online better than I did attending a formal university and investing a lot of money and time into that, college does not have my personal recommendation as far as media goes. Anyways, I hope this has been useful to you. I really do. This is a topic I've been very much putting off for a long time, but I feel like now that I've talked about it and I've made this video, I can move on and really start making things that I want to make. I feel like in a weird way, waiting to make this video has really held me back. And now that I've made it, it's kind of freeing. So hopefully it's of value to you. And that's pretty much all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one.